Welcome back to the JCPod, partner with Stare Down Sports. I'm your host, Jaden Chandler Parnell, and wow, man. Wow, is the NFL going crazy. Today's going to be pretty simple. We're just going over NFL news, and then we're going to talk about the conference tournaments that are about to be happening. There's a few teams that have already clinched their way into March Madness. I'll talk about more of that on Thursday. Just simply for the fact, there's a lot of NFL news. I won't be shocked if we go 30, 40 minutes on NFL news today with all the signings and everything. So yeah, today pretty much we're going to talk about the conference tournaments I didn't talk about on last Thursday. We'll do that after I talk about the NFL news. And then Thursday, pretty much I think my plan is hopefully, there'll probably be a few more signings and everything. We'll talk a little bit about that. And then we'll talk about, pretty much it'll be all March Madness. It'll be the teams that are in their conference tournaments are going to be making March Madness, teams that are already in because they won their tournament, stuff like that. So yeah, without any further ado, we'll probably just hop right in, right? I don't think I need to delay anymore. Like I said, the NFL news is going to be insane today. There's just massive signings everywhere, just nonstop signings. It's going to be great, man. And then, yeah, March Madness, we got, I think next week we have a bracket. By Sunday, I think potentially we'll have a bracket. Yeah, it's going to be a great one. I'm pretty on juice. So yeah, like I said, without any further ado, we'll hop right into the news. It's massive signings, massive release. For example, what do I want to start with? There's so many. First thing I see, boom, Vikings signed Sam Darnold a 1 year, $10 million deal. There's rumors after Kirk Cousins signed to Atlanta, which is, boom, another one. Kirk Cousins signs to Atlanta, $100 million guaranteed at 35 years old. Shout out to his agent. But yeah, there's a bunch of news like that. So yeah, we'll pretty much be all over that. But yeah, shout out to Sam Darnold, though. That is very interesting. Makes me wonder where Justin Fields is going to go now. I don't think there's a single job that Justin Fields can get that, starting-wise. I think every starting job's taken by this point. But we'll have to see. I'll double-check some. And then also to go with the Vikings, are going to sign Aaron Jones. So Aaron Jones and Sam Darnold are two signings. I was shocked that the Packers let go of Aaron Jones, honestly. I mean, it makes sense because they got Josh Jacobs, so they want Josh Jacobs to be their bell cow. Boom, another one, Josh Jacobs. NFL went crazy yesterday. But yeah, I would have thought maybe that they want to keep Josh Jacobs and him. That would have been a insane 1-2 combo, especially for how much Aaron Jones has done for the Packers. He's given up, he sacrificed money. He's done all that. Yeah, so it's just a whole new era in Green Bay, huh? Aaron Jones, gone. A.J. Dillon, gone. David Bakhtiari, gone. I think we're officially in the whole new era of the practice, whole brand new era of the Packers. Seems like, yeah, pretty much. I think every Packer that's pretty much known Aaron Rodgers played with him is gone, except for some of the younger guys like Dobbs and all that. But yeah, anybody who's been with Aaron Rodgers for 2-3 years, they're pretty much for sure gone. Day one of free agency went insane. Brian Burns, 5-year, $150 million. He got traded to the Giants and he got a bag. I won't lie. He goes from one bad team to another kind of bad team. The Giants are better than the Panthers, but they might. I won't lie. Yeah, I won't lie though. I don't know how improved the Giants are going to be over the Panthers. I'm honestly I've liked what the Panthers have semi-done so far. They have a lot of focus on offensive linemen that I'll bring in. So obviously, it's obvious they're trying to protect Bryce Young. But I mean, to be fair, I think Brian Burns is due to get a contract soon. He also wanted to leave, so this is probably not the most exciting, or most shocking. That's what I meant to say. Not most exciting. This is pretty exciting because this is a huge deal. The maximum value of the contract makes Burns the second highest paid edge defender in both totals and average. He's basically only behind Nick Bosa, who tops $107 million and $34 a year. So he gets 5 years, 150s, and yeah, Bosa, I think in 5 years, 170. So that boy got a bag. I mean, Brian Burns has been good. 2-time Pro Bowler, 46 sacks, 59 tackles for loss, and 95 quarterback hits in 80 career games since being there in 2019. And if you don't remember, Pence has been ass since he's been there pretty much. So shout out to him, man, actually standing a chance to do something. Now with Kevin Thibodeau and Brian Burns on the edges, that's a good tandem in New York. Joe Mixon got released by the Bengals, and then right after this, they signed Zach Moss, which kind of sucks. I was hoping the Colts would go 1-2, Zach Moss and Jonathan Taylor, but hopefully that means we'll be going Jonathan Taylor and Derrick Henry. That's the guy I was thinking of. Yeah, I know. So they got rid of Joe Mixon. Not too shocking to sign him to, like, I think a 1-year deal last year. I just thought they might sign him back again. I won't lie, this one's a little bit shocking. I thought the last thing, you're like, you know what, maybe we'll keep him again, but they decided not to. He topped 1,000 yards last season. He didn't average 4 yards a carry, though, which maybe is the biggest thing. 1 year left on his contract with a cap hit of $8.8 million, so that's pretty much why they cut him for sure. And then Zach Moss had a career year with the Colts last year, so I mean he was balling out last year. So it's awesome shout out to him again for getting a deal done with the Bengals. Because yeah, Zach Moss had a really good year behind Taylor, and he was really good in Taylor's absence. So I think this is gonna be a really good ad for the Bengals. Just crazy. I used to not like Zach Moss. He won me over with how good he was on the Colts. Now let's see if he can keep it up. I'm scared that I'm going to start praising him and everything, and he's going to be bad again. But he did have a really good year last year. I think that he will be. He's a good replacement for Joe Mixon. I feel like he's been pretty decent. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie though. That's crazy how many I thought NFL's last year NFL's offseason is crazy. I feel like every year now for this, like the third year in a row where I'm like, man, this is getting crazy. Just because simply for the fact that legit, yeah, like I said, just all the names. It's like we are now at the tip of the iceberg. There's still a lot more names to come. The Ravens apparently have mutual interest in Derrick Henry, so there's a chance that he could be a Raven. J.K. Dobbins is a free agent, and Gus Edwards just signed with the Chargers, so that's pretty much the reason that they're looking potentially at Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry would be disgusting. I mentioned this last year on my show. Him and Lamar would be disgusting. Man, imagine him. Derrick Henry, I think they're going to keep Keaton Mitchell. Keaton Mitchell was explosive last year. I hope that he's able to come back off of what his knee injury was. Keaton Mitchell, Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson. Woo! Now that'd be a tandem. Eagles are signing Barkley to a 3-year, $37 million deal. So shout out to Saquon, man. This has probably been the second time in his career now, second or third time in his career when I've just been watching everything they said and all they're sitting there. It's like, man, is he actually going to leave? And this was probably, like I said, the second or third time where it's like, man, I think he might actually end up leaving. Sure enough, boom, signs to the Eagles for a massive deal, gets to play the Giants twice. You best believe on this channel, we'll be betting him 2-time touchdown scorer every time he plays the Giants for the rest of his career now. Because he's probably going to do it at least 2 or 3 times. So the odds are going to be amazing. Can't wait to do it. It's going to be more nice. But yeah, Saquon, man, great ad. They lost DeAndre Swift to the Bears on a 3-year, $24 million deal. This seems to be the average contract was about 3 years, 24 for running backs, unless you're a bigger name than like Saquon. He got 3 for 37. Like I said, the maximum value is $46 million and contains $26 million fully guaranteed. So by the way, I was about to say, I'm going to read all these numbers out, but just know that it's probably a bit of a lie. Like, it's probably off by about $10 to $15 million on the fully guaranteeds, especially on the bigger contracts. Some of the smaller ones, maybe not. It might be only off by like $5 or so million, but the agents always try to get out a better number than what it actually is because their agents want to like pretty much make themselves look good. Like, look how much money I got because they know how the game works. They're going to be look how much money I got my guy. And it comes out, $37 million. Oh, that's a shit ton. Everyone talks about the $37 million. Then 10 or 15 minutes later, when it's quiet down a little bit, we're moved on to the next people. They're like, by the way, only $26 million is guaranteed, but there's still an extra $20 million you can make in incentives and all that. So it's just funny how the game works. So yeah, obviously, shout out to Saquon though. Regardless, he's getting a shit ton of money. The running backs are getting a little bit of respect for what happened last season. And apparently, a lot of this is happening because there's no like Jahmyr Gibbs or who's the other running back? What's his name? Bijan. There's no like Jahmyr Gibbs or Bijan in the draft. I think there's a lot of day 2, day 3 running backs is the rumors, but there's not anybody who's like a Saquon Barkley when they came out of the draft, or like a Bijan or who I just said, where they're just like a Bijan or a Jahmyr Gibbs, where they're like, oh yeah, that guy's gonna be a stud. That guy's gonna be a guy. I don't think there's any guaranteed like, oh, that's gonna be a guys in the draft, but there is a lot of day 2 or day 3s that might be able to fill some roles. 4-year, $180 million on the deal for Kirk Cousins. $50 million signing bonus, $100 million guaranteed. And he has family in Atlanta. I think he or his wife, I forget which one it does, but he or his wife have family in Atlanta. So the second that they mentioned, like, oh, he's looking for a home, they have family there, I'm like, oh, he's a Falcon. Pretty much guaranteed. I won't lie, I was kind of shocked how quickly it happened. I thought, it might last, like, slightly longer. But yeah, the second you hear him, like, you hear stuff like that where it's like, oh, he has family that lives there. He's looking for housing there. He's looking for kids. That stuff actually kind of like, and then it's like, all right, so that actually kind of means something. So So like I said, shout out to Kirk Cousins making a massive deal. It's great, man. It's great for him, especially coming off 35. I think that gives the Falcons immediate credibility. No offense to Desmond Ridder, but he didn't get the job done too well last year. So this gives them, I think, a lot of immediate credibility. Originally, the Bucs re-signed Baker back to a 3-year, like $100-something million deal. We'll talk about that when I see the actual number again. But originally, it was like, oh, the Bucs are going to run the division for about a few years now. And I was like, oh, maybe the Falcons have a bit of a chance. Because I'm not going to lie. As long as the Saints have Derek Carr, Dennis Allen, I'm not going to be a big fan of them. And if you don't got to believe me, you can talk to my buddy Rowan, who's a Saints fan. He's the one who pretty much has me on this not believing in the Saints trail. He's a Saints fan. I know sometimes fans can be a little bit dramatic about their own team, but I won't lie. Rowan might be onto something about this one. Moving ahead, though, Jets signed Tyrod Taylor as a backup. I think this is an amazing signing. I'm shocked that the Giants kind of let him go, so it makes you wonder what they're going to do with the quarterback situation. Officially, I think that means that Zach Wilson is out of here. Struck out. Dunzo. Gone. I don't know where he's going to go. No idea. He could end up as the backup for the 49ers. He could end up as the backup of the Cowboys. He could end up as the backup of the Colts. I hope not, but I don't know where he's going to end up. I just know that if they're getting Tyrod Taylor, that means that that boy Zach Wilson is out of here. Get him out the building, is my guess. Seahawks are re-signing Leonard Williams. That's a huge re-sign because they paid a good amount of draft pick compensation. Let's see. Mid-season trade with the New York Giants and a 2024 second rounder, 2025 fifth rounder to get him back. So it's not the end of the world, but that second rounder could be a huge pick. Second rounders are actually becoming, like, I would say, relatively valuable with how good players are just getting at the college level now, like with their athleticism and all of that. It's to the point where second rounders can actually be pretty valuable. So the fact they're able to sign him after giving the ball it back, that makes it pretty much. I think they won this deal easily now. 3 years, $64.5 million, and they only had to give up a second and a fifth. I think they clearly won the deal. If he would have just walked, I would have said they lost it. But awesome for them. Patriots are signing a 1-year deal with Jacoby Brissett. We talked about this on my show. What was it, 2 weeks ago maybe? About how Van Pelt for the Browns signed with the Patriots. He's a guy that Brissett knew from the Browns. He's a guy that Joe Flacco knew from the Browns. I'm curious to see if they'll sign Joe Flacco now. Because they already got their one backup. I don't know if they're going to do two. Joe backup emergency quarterback situation, I don't know. But they did trade Mac Jones, so they're for sure going young. We'll talk about that. Mac Jones to the Jaguars. Wow. We'll talk about that in a minute, but Patriots are for sure going young at quarterback, obviously. I know they have Brissett as a backup, but it's pretty, I think, yeah. All signs point to they're drafting a young guy. They're also able to keep Kendrick Bourne, and they also signed Michael Onwenu. I think it's Michael Onwenu. I always struggle with sometimes these letters are silent or not. Shout out my guy, $38 million deal. $38 million guaranteed, 3-year, $57 million deal. Get that bag, son. No, it's actually pretty awesome, honestly. One of the shocking signings yesterday, Commanders are signing Austin Eckler to a 2-year, $11 million deal. They lost Antonio Gibson to the Patriots on, I forget what the money was. We'll talk about it in a minute. Like I said, this NFL news went crazy yesterday. There was just non-stop action-packed NFL news. Man. Yeah, they signed Eckler to a 2-year, $11 million deal. I'm surprised the Chargers kind of let him walk, honestly. And $1 million. Oh, man. He didn't get that much money at all compared to some of these other running backs. $3 million signing bonus, $1.5 million incentives, $4.8 million in year one. I don't know why. I feel like he probably should have got a lot more money than he did. Man, I don't know. I just feel like he did not get the money. 11 years for... I mean, a lot of these teams are getting 3 for 24. So, in fact, they only got 2 for 11. It feels like he's missing a little bit of money there, but he gets a new team. Man, I'm not going to lie. It feels like a bit of a downgrade for Austin Eckler. Of course, it could be wrong. The Commanders could end up being... The best way to put this is worth the shit this season, but we'll see. I mean, new ownership. They're going to have a new quarterback. I mean, they still might need another year or two. Oh, man. And then here come... apparently Saquon Barkley had some stuff to say about former running back Tiki Barber. Apparently Tiki Barber came out and said that... This is what he said to Saquon. or about Saquon, maybe. Either to Saquon or about Saquon. Regardless, he said this on a radio show. It's his show, I believe, called Evan and Tiki on WFAN. So this is what Tiki had to say about Saquon. He said that Saquon is dead to us now after hearing the running back is headed to the Philadelphia Eagles. Barber said earlier that Barkley going to the Eagles would be insulting to his Giants legacy, which, don't get me wrong, I didn't mention it too much. I'll bring it back up again. This stuff matters. Like, he went to a division rival. Like, the Eagles and Giants, like, the NFC East, like, those are some real rivalries that have some, like, real long history and real blood. So, like, I can get, I get it. Like, I truly get where Tiki Barber is coming from. Is it right for him to say? I don't know. It's his opinion. I'm not going to say he's wrong, because I think that is, coming from a Giants guy, he probably is right. But I won't say that Tiki Barber has been in the, I think, media, and he has called out. He's been very critical of Giants players, which is nothing. I think there's nothing wrong with that. He's a Giants fan. I'm sure it's coming from a place, at least somewhat of a place of love. I don't know how true the rest of it is, but regardless, like I said, I kind of just filled that with nonsense about Tiki. Like I said, I don't think what he said is totally wrong, but this is what Saquon would say. It's like, you've been a hater since I got to New York, and all the dead to me talk, don't smile in my face when you see me. So, oh yeah, this is what Tiki said. Good luck, you're dead to us. Saquon, good luck, you're dead to me. And then Saquon responded on X saying, "LO, yep, you're the prime example of loyalty to a team. I got the deal I wanted, secured more GM." I don't know what GM said. I actually don't. Secured more GM, which wasn't given to me before, so fans are gonna hate me for that. So be it. But I never turned my back on my teammates and always had theirs. I do agree that it's true. It's true from both sides. I mean, yes. He finally got the deal. Saquon finally got the deal that he wanted. The Giants were refusing to pay him. All they did was franchise tag him. We aren't paying you. They actually paid Daniel Jones over Saquon. So I don't even blame Saquon anymore. I mean, the team showed. Apparently, also, they're saying that he was joking, by the way. Yeah, sounds like a little bit more reading. Sounds like he's been joking, but I don't know. Regardless, I just think it makes sense from both sides. Mainly just from the fact Saquon didn't get a deal done, and for the Giants, so he probably has some bitter resentment towards that. And then Tiki comes out and says that, so probably emotions are flying a little bit. I don't blame both sides either. I think both sides are probably in the right. I'm sure they'll end up making it up, because usually what they do, they're either going to make it up or they're going to hate each other for forever. Moving on, Bucks are trading Carlton Davis to the Lions. This was kind of shocking. For a 6th-round selection and a 2025 6-rounder, so 2 6-rounders. That's a great deal, honestly. For how low they got him, I think Carlton Davis has been a decent. Defensive back. So I think it's a good sign. Luvu is joining the Commanders on a 3-year contract. I thought this was a good signing. I thought this was a really good signing as well. He was really good for the Commanders this year, or the football team, or the Redskins, whatever you want to call them at this point. I don't even know what they are anymore. No, he was a really good signing for the Commanders, though. I just remember there's a few times that I've seen Panthers games this year where there was like probably 3 or 4 times I was stressing, like, man, am I really not going to win this bet against the Panthers? And then Luvu was the issue on defense causing some of those. Like, there's a few games I remember Luvu just being a menace. So I think this will be really, really good. He scored at least 110 tackles, 5 sacks, 4 pass breakups, and a forced fumble each of the last 2 seasons. Let me repeat that. This is in one season. 110 tackles, 5 sacks, 4 pass breakups, forced fumble. All in at least in one season. Yeah, and undrafted free rookie, too. Did I say that weird? Undrafted rookie. I meant to say undrafted free agent, but I kind of said undrafted free rookie. That's hilarious. But yeah, shout out to him, man, for getting a really good deal. Do they have the money out? Up to $36 million. I don't think they have the guaranteed in, but shout out to him. The 49ers are signing Leonard Floyd. And they're signing defensive end Yetur Gross-Matos from the Panthers. So it looks like they're trying to bolster up their defensive line a little bit. I'm pretty sure they let Eric Armstead go along with a few other guys. So just trying to clean it up a little bit. The Raiders are adding Gardner Minshew on a 2-year, $25 million deal. This hurts to lose, I'm not going to lie. I love Gardner as a backup. I thought he really was good in the roles that he played. But shout out to him, man, for getting a chance to start and groom Aiden O'Connell. Not in that way. Groom Aiden O'Connell, probably maybe help out the other guy they decided to get. And they did not pay him too much. He's going to get, Gardner Minshew's going to get a starting chance. I don't think the Raiders are a horrible fit for him at all. I just don't know what it's going to be like, man. I thought he was a really good fit with Shane Steichen. I thought that was a lot to do with Shane Steichen. I think Gardner Minshew was just as good, but there were some games, man, where Gardner Minshew, it's probably about once a month you'd have a game where he had like 2 or 3 interceptions, playing completely awful. It's like, oh man, that is ugly. Like I said, he got us to 10-7 though. He was a very instrumental part in the Colts' success this year, but he obviously had some moments where it's like, man, I don't know about that. Regardless, though, I think he's going to be good for them. I can't be any worse than what they've had recently. I think he's better than Jimmy. I think he's an upgrade over Jimmy G. Honestly, how much of an upgrade? That's for debate, but I think he's an upgrade over Jimmy G. And I think that he and Aiden O'Connell will be able to manage the quarterback position for the Raiders for at least maybe like 2 or 3 years until they find their perfect guy, unless they don't like him. Giants are going to sign Singletary after losing Barkley. This, by no means... This means nothing, pretty much. This means they're just like, I don't want to say it's a placeholder, but 3 years, $16.5 million. Devin Singletary is probably going to be, I would say maybe he runs all this year as the number 1, and then in year 2, he gets some backup behind him. But I think they'll draft a young guy. I think Singletary, at least halfway through the season, will be the main guy, and then eventually maybe a young guy takes over. Or if they sign somebody, that'll change. But as of right now, I think that he'll probably be the main focus back while they either groom somebody or they're trying to work on like upgrading that position, because I don't think he's a bad running back, but I don't think he's probably, I'd say he's top 32 in the NFL. I think that's a good spot. Yeah, top 32. McKinney is signing with the Packers on a 4-year, $68 million deal. Shout out to the Packers, man. Usually they don't do anything, and they signed Josh Jacobs. They signed Xavier McKinney. 2 amazing signings. I love those 2 signings for them. I think Jordan Love is going to have a lot of success next year. And how much does a lot of success lead to? I thought he had a shit ton of success this year when it came to, like, I think they overachieved slightly. Like, I did not. They could have potentially been in the Super Bowl. Like, that's some real stuff. They're so close to beating the 49ers as well. So I think they're going to be pretty good next year. And some of these signings just, like, improve that for me. This is what I'm talking about, the Panthers offensive lineman. They spent some money on the offensive line. 5-year, $100 million deal with former Dolphins lineman Robert Hunt, and then they also signed Damian Lewis to a 4-year, $53 million deal. I think those are 2 really good signings. They might have overpaid for Hunt slightly, but yeah, I think he's a really good. Hunt was a really amazing offensive lineman for the Dolphins. I thought he was really good. The Dolphins have let a lot of guys walk. I can't wait. Christian Wilkins, let him go. Van Ginkel, let him walk. I mean, it's very clear that the Dolphins are going to pay Tua, pay Tyreek, pay Jalen Waddle, and then they're just going to try to do what the Chiefs did and just kind of pick at their defense and hopefully get enough young guys. I don't think it's going to work that well for them, personally, over the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs have a better defensive coordinator than the Dolphins have. But yeah, but speaking back to the Panthers, I love these 2 moves for the linemen. Because the biggest thing you heard last year is they didn't protect Bryce Young. They didn't protect Bryce Young. We don't know what Bryce Young's going to do. They didn't protect him. So I love this move that they're going to try to now they're trying to protect him. They're spending money on offensive linemen. They're fine. This is good. They're learning. This is awesome to say. An NFL team is learning. You know what? They realize, hey, our quarterback's getting sacked. Maybe we should get him some help. They also need to get some weapons, though. That's another thing. They got a lot of work to do, but they're finally starting to take a foot in the right direction, I feel like. The Commanders steal some in-division guys. So not only do they steal Dan Quinn now, they're stealing some of his players. Dorrance Armstrong, he's going to go through a 3-year deal worth $45 million. And they also signed Cowboy center Tyler Biadasz. Ah, man. Shout out Tyler, man. Sometimes these foreign names get me a little bit. Tyler Biadasz. Damn it, dude. Dude, I love his last name. I want to learn it, but I can't figure it out. But yeah, they're just returning with Dan Quinn, so it makes sense. Shout out to them. I'm not gonna lie, Bryce Huff as well. So 3-year, $51 million deal with the Eagles. This is a really good signing, I think, for the Eagles. Highest paid non-quarterback undrafted free agent in NFL history. Apparently. Undrafted free agent. And shout out to Huff, man. He had a really good season. 17.5 sacks, 17 tackles for loss, and 43 QB hits in his career. Last season, though, 10 sacks, 10 tackles for loss, 21 QB hits, and the Jets were ass. So, shout out to Bryce Huff, man. I'm not going to lie, though, man. This NFL is going off. Like I said, we talked about Josh Jacobs and the Jones one. Rams are signing Jonah Jackson to a 3-year, $51 million deal. He was a guard that I'm pretty sure played with the Lions since they drafted him in the 3rd round in 2020. Shout out to him. This is the one I was really excited to get to. Gabe Davis, 3-year, $39 million deal. I'm just kidding. He'll be the one after this. But shout out to Gabe Davis, though. He's signing with the Jaguars because I think they believe Calvin Ridley's probably going to be let go. Is the way it's either, I believe, excuse me. I do believe it's Calvin Ridley that's going to be the one that's going to be gone. I don't know who they're going to replace him with because I don't know if Gabe Davis isn't bad. I think he's going to be pretty good for them, honestly. But I don't know. We're going to have to see. I think from what I remember, the Jaguars receiving core now is just it's an interesting place. Like I don't think it's horrible. I don't think it's horrible at all. I think Gabe Davis is pretty good. I just think they have a weird receiving core. But we can talk about that later. Raiders and the Wilkins agreed to a 4-year, $110 million deal. This is a guy you got to keep in the building if you're the Dolphins. I thought the Dolphins were utterly stupid to let this guy walk. And I truly mean that. I think this is one of the dumbest decisions the Dolphins have ever made. I think the Dolphins are not going to be that good next year. It seems like that 10-game thing they had this season was a fluke because they're letting all the players that helped make it go. Like Christian Wilkins played every down. The Dolphins drafted him. The Dolphins picked him out. Like, this is a guy you keep in building. This is a guy you figure out ways just to make a deal with. Because he's one of their own. He's one of their own. You keep one of your own. Like the Colts. The Colts signed Pittman to a $70 million deal. I think it's 26-year, 40-something guaranteed. We kept him. And that was really good. That was really, really good. They franchise tagged him, and they did that. They came out and said because, we wanted to get a deal done. We were for sure getting a deal done. It's just disappointing, man, when you see teams do stuff like this. Because I don't get how you let Christian Wilkins walk. I do not get how you let Christian Wilkins walk. You just can't let him walk, man. Packers released Dave Bakhtiari. We talked about that. Titans trading. They got Pollard. Tony Pollard. I don't know why. I was reading something else as well. I don't know why. That just sounded so weird. 3 years, $24 million deal. Shout out to the Cowboys, man. Shout out to the Titans, man. They get a running back to replace Derrick Henry. Kind of weird the Cowboys don't keep Tony Pollard. I wonder what they're going to do a running back then. Maybe Henry to the Cowboys. That would make sense. I don't get, I won't lie. I mean, it's not a bad signing for the Titans, but not keeping Derrick Henry and signing Tony Pollard, it's like, I guess. Felt like this traded one for another. Vikings continuing their dominance, like I said, in the free agency yesterday. They got Jonathan Grenard on a 4-year deal worth $76 million. And they also signed Andrew Van Ginkel, shout out. 2-year worth $20 million, $14 million guaranteed, which is really good for him. Minnesota also signed linebacker Blake Cashman to a 3-year contract. The Vikings are going all in. The one position they're missing right now is quarterback, but they just drafted Sam Darnold, got him on a 1-year deal. I don't know how good he's going to be, but I won't be shocked. I'm sure the Vikings are going to end up drafting somebody, but that's pretty much what they're missing. Bills signed Dawkins to a 3-year, $60 million contract. Shout out to the Bills, keeping one of their own. Dawkins has been really good for them. We talked about DeAndre Swift signing with the Bears. It's weird. That's weird, man. Goes from I think he only played 1 year with the Eagles, too, didn't he? Yeah, he was traded last offseason after beginning his career with the Lions. So he goes from Lions to Eagles, and now they're the Eagles. Pretty much since they had a chance against Saquon, I think they're just like, you know what? We're getting rid of him. I mean, literally, I think the only reason they kind of let him go is because were guaranteed to almost get Saquon. So, okay. As much as we love Swift, Saquon is definitely an upgrade. And if they're going to pay somebody between Swift and Saquon, I would probably pay Saquon as well, so I don't blame him at all. Colts, like we said, signed Pittman to a deal. $28.83 million. Maximum average puts him 8th amongst top receivers. I love this deal that they got done because not only is Pittman getting paid, he's staying a Colt, and this deal's going to get done before the cap takes another massive swing. Because by the time Pittman's back up, the Colts are probably going to save close to like $20 million because of the cap space and everything. So I think that was an amazing signing. The highest paid guard ever now is Landon Dickerson for the Eagles. 4-year deal worth $84 million in base salary, $3 million in incentives, $50 million in guaranteed, plus a $20 million signing bonus. Woo! Shout out Landon Dickerson, man. He definitely earned this. One of the best offensive linemen in the league. Maybe best guard in football. I would say it's between him and Quentin Nelson as the two best guards in football. So, I mean, does that mean being biased? I don't know. T. Higgins has requested a trade from the Bengals because they put him on the franchise tag because of what happened. Pretty much, he was in talks with the... So, like how the Colts were in talks with Michael Pittman, and they said, hey, we're going to franchise tag him, but we're going to continue the talk on the deal. The Bengals have not done that, so it seems that's why his trade request is coming from. It's just the fact they haven't continued negotiations. They've just kind of let it drop off since, I think, sometime last year. The Colts are going to give Zaire Franklin a 3-year, $31 million extension. Absolutely love this deal. Franklin, this is another thing this is back to the Dolphins' point. This is a guy you want to keep in the building and pay. Started out as a special teamer. And then pretty much he took over for Zach. Excuse me, not Zach. He took over for Shaq Leonard. Darius Leonard, for those of you who don't know. He took over for him. And ever since he's taken over him, he pretty much hasn't looked back. And just his stats. 27-year-old, a combined 346 tackles, 4.5 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, and 27 years old, by the way, young man. And 12 pass defenses and 33 appearances over the last 2 seasons. And 178 tackles in 2023. 178 tackles. This guy's a machine on the field. I'm absolutely love that they were able to keep him. Zaire Franklin's been one of my favorite Colts. This guy started out in special teams. Like I said, 7th rounder, started out in special teams and earned a spot. Huge, man. 49ers released Eric Armstead after proposing pay cut. So, obviously, he didn't want to take the pay cut. So they had to let him go for cap space reasons. Kendrick Bourne's deal was 3 years, $33 million. Shout out. Man, this is a big one. Russell Wilson to the Steelers. Steelers paid $1.2 million. Broncos are paying the rest of the money. Cheap. Shout out Mike Tomlin. I mean, it's not a bad move for them. They're getting him for million, 1.2. He's not the worst quarterback to have. He at least has experience. He's at least won a Super Bowl. I mean, I think Tomlin will be able to get his character in check a little bit with some of the weird stuff he's doing. So I think this will be not a horrible move for the Steelers. I don't know. It's going to be weird. Just slightly weird. Bobby Wagner's probably not staying with the Seahawks free agency. I don't think he's signed anywhere yet, but he's definitely looking elsewhere. Baker's years, 3 years, $100 million years. Shout out. Bears are signing Bayard to 2 years, $15 million. Man, they're going to have a really interesting situation when it comes to Justin Fields. I don't know. Dolphin Armstead returning for 2024 after considered retirement. Shout out to Fletcher Cox and Jason Kelsey, man. We lose 2 Eagles this offseason. Two greats also. Not only Eagle greats, but NFL greats. We lose 2 of them. But yeah, when it comes to the Bears and Justin Fields, man, I don't know what's going to happen with that. Because now that there's no openings, I'm just like, man. Like I said, Mac Jones got traded to the Jags, so I think that's an interesting one. Cowboys grant Gallup permission to seek a trade. 5-year deal for Chris Jones worth $160 million. Oh my God, boys. Shout out Chris Jones, man. Chris Jones got a bag. They paid the shit out of him. This is an amazing deal. As they're going for the three-peat, man. I think they have a real good chance of three-peat this year. No NFL team has ever three-peated. I think they're going to. I think they got a good shot. I think they truly do. Seahawks revise Lockett's deal. 2-year, $30 million deal now. Chargers open to trading Bosa and Mack and other veterans. So pretty much it's them just admitting like, hey, we might. I just don't know, man. I mean, I don't blame them for wanting to move on from some of these guys, but I just felt like they're just a huge parts of their defense. Broncos get Jerry Jeudy from the Browns. Shout out. Brandon Graham is returning to the Eagles on a 1-year deal. I'm assuming this is probably going to be one of his last seasons. If not his last, I think he'll probably go out. I would say this is probably his last season, if we're being honest. It'll be either this season or next season, I think. And then Brandon Graham will retire. Another Eagle great. I will not be shocked if his number, Fletcher Cox, and Jason Kelsey's all end up being retired. I know Kelsey's will for 100% for sure. Won't be shocked if Graham sends up. Fletcher Cox, I feel like his has to as well. Deontay Johnson, our Steelers are open to trade Deontay Johnson. Not shocking there after what's been happening. After what happened last year. Excuse me. Matabike, 4 years, $98 million deal. Shout out. Boy got that bag. Allen Robinson part ways with the Steelers. Let's see. Steelers released Patrick Peterson as well. Hunter Henry, 3 years, $30 million deal. Drew Tanquil, 3 year, $19 million deal to re-sign with the Chiefs. Shout out. That's a really, really good deal. Man, I think Jalen Johnson, 4 year deal worth $76 million with the Bears. Shout out. I think that was an amazing deal. Saints signed 2 year deal with Tyrann Mathieu at $13 million. I think that's another good deal. Donovan Smith, 2 year deal with the Dolphins up to $10 million. I think that's where we left off about last time. So I think that's good. I'll double check to see if there's any bigger names I missed. But man, we about went 35 plus minutes on just NFL news. Yeesh. NFL went crazy, man. Like I said, there, Darius Smith, 2 year deal with the Browns again. I'm just saying, NFL went crazy. So yeah, I'm gonna double check, make sure I didn't miss any names. I'm sure there's a few smaller names I missed or some names I missed here and there throughout the cracks. If there's any big names, I'll bring them back Thursday when we finish talking about this. But like I said, so far I think I got most of them. Jaguars signed Darnell Savage to a 3 year deal. That's another one I missed. That was a pretty good one. We talked about Gabe Davis, talked about Tony Pollard. Demario Davis, I think we did talk about re-signing to the Saints. If not, Demario Davis re-signing to the Saints on a 2 year deal. Shout out my boy Rowan. I think my boy Rowan's really happy about that one. We talked about Landon Dickerson. We talked about Michael Pittman. I think that's going to do it, yeah. So yeah, like I said, we got a few. So now we're going to go into the conference tournaments. We already got a few automatic qualifiers. Morehead State, Stetson, Longwood, and Drake are fully for sure in. Shout out. James Madison, I think, just clinched the bid. There's a few other teams that clinched bids as well, but I'll talk about more of those Thursday. I just at least wanted to bring those few teams up because they were pretty much right in front of my face. So yeah, shout out Gonzaga. Just had to check a bet. Shout out Gonzaga for covering. So yeah, we'll move on to, like I said, we'll end the show with just some talk about the conference tournaments as are up and coming. It's like the Big 12, the Big East, all that stuff. So pretty much, we'll go over some odds real quick, and I'll just break down who I like for it, and that's what we'll probably end the show with. Not too bad a one today. Like, NFL news took up a lot of it, though. Like I said, it was great. Crazy how much NFL news is happening now. Because I'm talking about it now, loving it now, and then 2 weeks from now, it's just going to be dead. middle of the dead offseason again. There's some, I think a lot of the conference tournaments start today and tomorrow. So that's going to be a lot of fun to watch and look at. What was the conference tournament? So now I'm looking at the AAC, Florida Atlantic, Memphis, SMU. You're looking at that conference. For me, it's Memphis or Florida Atlantic. South Florida, probably not a bad one, a plus 500 at all, but I'd say I'll take that back. South Florida, Memphis, SMU, and Florida Atlantic. I do like the top four right there, honestly. I think any four of those can steal it. South Florida had an amazing season as well. So I would not be shocked at all. I just don't know if I can take them. ACC, North Carolina plus 160, and you got Duke, Wake Forest, Clemson, Pitt. I don't think I'm going to take Clemson. Virginia, I'll say their name just because I don't think it's a horrible option, especially for the odds. The odds aren't terrible, plus 1,600, but I'm taking North Carolina or bust, I think, in this one. I don't think I like a lot of these other teams. Wake Forest is giving me issues when it comes to betting on them. Duke wouldn't be a bad one either, but I just don't. And in the great words of my friend Rowan, I don't think I want to bet on Dookie stains, man. So I think I'm just going to stay away from that one. Clemson, I for sure don't trust Clemson. And then Pitt, they've been weird. Pitt's a 3 seed, and they're plus 1,500. It's just, I think I'm good. Let's see. Big East now. UConn is minus 150, and then there's Creighton, Marquette, and St. John's. And then you continue to go down the list. Those are about where I have it. I think UConn probably ends up winning, but I would Creighton, Marquette, or St. John's. I don't think I'd mind any of those. St. John is technically the home team, even though it's kind of a neutral court since everyone gets a chance to go fan-wise, and they aren't just mainly focusing on St. John's fans. St. John's plus 1,300 is tempting. Marquette plus 600 is tempting. Hell, even Creighton at plus 390 is tempting. But Creighton is the only team out of those three that beat UConn, and they beat them at home. after UConn had probably one of the most emotional games they had all season. So they were as emotionally high as you can get, and then immediately had a tough game after. So to say it was a letdown is probably a great way to put it, but man, it's hard not to bet UConn minus 150. But if I was going to take somebody, it'd probably be Creighton or Marquette. I would take St. John's for the odds, but I don't know if they'd be able to do it. But Marquette or Creighton seems like the real two teams have a chance. But like I said, I mean, both of them have lost to UConn, so it's like, I don't know. Big Ten, Purdue's plus 100. I'm going to probably take them. Is Purdue going to have 0, 1, or 2 more losses the rest of this tournament? That's the rest of the season is the big question. I would say most people would say 2. So if that's the case, they're probably going to lose now in the Big Ten tournament, sometime in the actual tournament. But for plus 100, I like the fact that Purdue is plus money to win the Big Ten tournament. They played pretty well. The only teams that beat them this year, like Northwestern, either Nebraska or Rutgers, got them at them a little bit. But Illinois would not be a bad choice either, plus 310. I'm not going to trust Illinois, just simply for the fact I've watched Illinois blow leads. I'm not saying like all these Big Ten teams have, so I'm not saying they're alone, but there's just something about Illinois, man. I've watched Illinois like 2 or 3 times where it's like they have the game comfortably over, and then I have to continue watching because they just decide to go on like an 0-7 run, and then the other team, like I said, this other team goes on a 7-0 run, and then boom, all of a sudden it's a 6-point game again. All of a sudden you're like, all right, guess I got to watch because I can't finish the game. But Illinois does really, truly have some talent, so that makes me nervous. Nebraska has my boy Keisei Tominaga. Wisconsin's just butt cheeks. I'm not anybody lower than Wisconsin. I'm not taking. Northwestern at plus 1,700. I would actually put a shot on Northwestern or Michigan State. One of those two I wouldn't mind at all putting a shot on. Be Northwestern or Michigan State, but I just heart pick right here, man. I'm going to take Purdue. Hopefully they can win the Big Ten, and hopefully they have a good year this year. I mean, it does scare me because Braden Smith kind of rolled his ankle a little bit on Sunday, and Zach Edey did the same exact thing. I don't know how severe. Braden Smith looked a lot more severe than Zach's did, but they both came back and played, so regardless, it might be fine. So, yeah, I'm going to go, I think, Purdue there in the Big Ten. Big 12, you got Houston plus 100. Similar situation. Houston plus 100, Iowa State plus 430, Baylor plus 600. I am Baylor or Houston here. Kansas at plus 1,300. I just can't. I feel like they're going to probably... There's rumors out there that they might sit like Hunter Dickinson and McCullough, and even if it's not sit them, play them lighter minutes just because of the injuries, let them get back healthier for the March Madness. So I think I'm just going to stay away from that one when it comes to Kansas. I'm on Baylor or Houston there, plus 600, plus 100. I don't mind Baylor at all. I love Baylor. Don't mind Houston at all. I love Houston. So those are probably going to be the 2 teams I'm watching for in the Big 12. Big West, we don't need to talk about. Conference USA, we don't need to talk about. Ivy League, I'd probably take Princeton, but I think we already talked about that. Mountain West, we talked about the Mountain West for sure, I remember last week. I don't know because it's the gauntlet. Pac-12, Arizona minus 150, Colorado plus 480. Washington State and Oregon are the 4 that I would probably look at the most. I would probably go Colorado here if I'm going to not take Arizona. Just simply for the fact, Colorado's been the hottest team out of all these 3. Washington State has beat Arizona, I'm pretty sure. Could be wrong about that, but I'm like 85% sure they did, so I wouldn't mind that as a feeler. So Washington State or Colorado are probably the 2 I lay on just for the odds. Arizona's minus 150, so they probably should win this, but I would not be shocked if Colorado or Washington State find a way to win. And that leaves us with just one more tournament. The SEC. You got Tennessee, Auburn, Kentucky, Alabama, Florida, South Carolina. South Carolina, 5,000 is wild. I mean, the only reason I'm not going to take that is because the SEC's wild, man. Anybody can truly win this. I actually probably might take South Carolina plus 5,000 just for the odds because that's ridiculous, man. But if we're being honest, it's going to be Tennessee or Kentucky, I feel like. Pick whoever you like or trust the most. I kind of trust Kentucky slightly more than I trust Tennessee. If Dalton Connect doesn't drop like 50 or 30 or 40 for Tennessee, it can get ugly some games. Kentucky just plays no defense. That's the biggest issue with them. So, I mean, I won't lie. I might put a flyer on South Carolina at plus 5,000. We're going to do that right now, actually, as I speak. So, plus 5,000 Carolina to win the SEC. I think they potentially could. They aren't a bad team at all, but SEC is going to be a really, really tough battle. Each team's going to beat each other up. I truly believe it's going to be between Kentucky or Tennessee, sorry. I was trying to place, I was placing another small half-unit bet on Baylor as well. So I just took 2 half-unit bets on Baylor and South Carolina to win their conference. But like I said, I think I'm going to lean Houston in that one. And then in the SEC, I'm on Tennessee or Kentucky, I think, to lean there. But yeah, that's going to do it for today, man. I think we pretty much got over everything. I think so, yeah. We got the NFL news, conference tournament, talk, and bets. So I think we're all good, man. Yeah, conference tournaments start the 13th. I'm juiced, man. March Madness is here. Pretty much, I think about next week we'll be talking a little bit of the madness. Man, it's unreal. That's already here. Unreal. And then we got NBA to talk about a little bit. We got some golf. Shout out Will Zalatoris, top 5 finish for me in a bet. I thought Boyd was going to win it. At one point I looked, he had a chance to win. I'm like, oh, holy shit, this is awesome. And then sure enough, I think Scotty Scheffler decided to just become immortal with his putt and did amazing putting to finish out. But yeah, man, I'm excited. Hopefully this offseason I'll try to dip into a little bit more golf. We'll try to talk like big story points in the NBA. Like the other day, LeBron scored 40K. I didn't even mention it. I totally forgot to mention it. LeBron's my guy. It just shows like I'm not to say I'm out of touch with the NBA. I don't watch or follow it as closely, and I just feel bad about talking about stuff I don't nearly watch or follow as closely as I do. Like I'm score watching every night on the NBA and stuff like that, but not actually watching the game. I feel like it'd be dumb for me to give out my opinion on stuff when I'm not even watching the game flows. I'm just watching the scores. So yeah, hopefully I can get a little bit more tapped into the NBA because that season's upcoming. I'm going to talk about golf for sure more this offseason. And then just, yeah, it's going to be fun. But yeah, Thursday, like I said. So today we talked about the NFL news when our conference tournament talks. Thursday's going to be probably finishing up the NFL news I didn't talk about today. If there's any other big news I missed or if there's more news coming, which there should be. And then we're pretty much going to talk conference talk and March Madness. We're going to go break down the bracket again on Thursday. Teams that are in it right now, and then we'll just talk about like, and like for example, Indiana State lost to Drake, so Drake's in the tournament. Is Indiana State going to make it? Teams like that, they're plus 194. I'm leaning towards I think they make it, but man, I don't know. It's going to be tough. So that's going to be what Thursday is. A lot of talk of like bubble teams, who's in, who's out, March Madness talk, hella basketball talk. It's going to be mainly March Madness. Hopefully NFL we can burn through unless something massive comes out, and then yeah, pretty much our March Madness talk. But thank you all for watching. Thank you for all the support. Really do appreciate it. It was really a fun one. A lot of money getting handed out in the NFL. Shout out to all those guys getting some big old bags. Yep, I'll see everybody back in this feed most likely on Thursday.